I'll show you my Mass Effect.
When he whips it out and drops his cock right on a nearest island.
Destroys all the poor Moai.
Yeah.
Okay.
Diamond Crater Mountain, Benny's cock. He did that.
Benny's cock's what killed the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yep.
65 million years ago.
That was the most Texas way I could have said that. Benny's cock's what's killed the dinosaurs.
You could have said, thank you, Lord Jesus.
Hello and welcome to the Games That Made Us podcast. I'm future Brent here. If you remember from 2 weeks ago, we had just finished up talking about the plot of Mass Effect. So we're going to wrap this one up for you, talk a little bit about the gameplay, the sound, and then I'm going to go on an extended rant about the evils of middleware and Electronic Arts. I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Okay, reaching into Mass Effect 2, fuck, marry, kill. Miranda, Ashley, Garrus, go.
Garrus for all three.
Yeah, there you go. Hell yeah.
I liked him a lot. He was fun.
I love Garrus.
He's so cool. He's just like, he's
the person I talk to the most. Not for the romantic options, but he's just so fucking funny.
He's also got like dry humor, and I love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a space Brit.
Yeah.
Sprit. Okay. Do you guys have other things you want to talk about? Because I know we're kind of...
Let's get off plot, because I think we've
Yeah.
covered that more than we need to.
Gameplay and music quickly, if we could talk about that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, because gameplay is really ultimately kind of shallow in some ways. Because let's brush past, or let's touch on how you navigate like narrative and like decisions. But ultimately, you've got a little rotational wheel where on the right side of the wheel, as conversations with NPCs progresses, you've got three options, which generally represent either like an aggressive, a friendly, or a neutral response. And then on the left side of the wheel, you can select interrogatory, like questions and like investigative options for the conversation where you can ask questions and learn more. And choosing the aggressive or the friendly options nets you morality points to either a renegade or a paragon score. Right. And the more that you select one or the other, and you are really benefited by really sticking to one or the other. And I want to touch on that in a second here, but the higher your score opens up certain dialogue options that are otherwise locked out for you that allow you to make your way through situations in the game that in unique ways. So you can either be, a very like a in touch with people kind of person with a paragon, or you can have ultra aggressive solutions to problems through the renegade score.
I loved by the fact that it showed you the dialogue options that you didn't have, because they're grayed out,
the gray amount.
And it's like, oh, okay. Like there's things in this game I haven't discovered that would enable different solutions to this problem. And I loved that. I thought that was really clever.
That was a holdover from Knights of the Old Republic. They did the same thing with their dialogue options.
And that's something
almost a 1-for-1.
Yeah, yeah.
They also, in some of the research I did, people mentioned that like Deus Ex was also another that like the kind of choices matter element of it is kind of reminiscent of that. But not to talk about that game, but like specifically with Mass Effect, something I read was that a very small percentage of people went with like a purely renegade playthrough. Do it once. Do it like be the asshole. Don't care what it does to people. Like, I hope you're not that kind of person in general, but like it's so interesting. And some of the options you have are legitimately better on the renegade path. Yeah. Like, be a total douchebag.
Okay.
And then see what happens. Like it's actually, in my opinion, the best way to save Rex. I think like you go so ultra aggressive that you're like, shut the fuck up. You're not looking far enough ahead of things. You have tunnel vision and you're being myopic right now. Stop being a baby bitch and let's look at this objectively. And like Rex is like, well, fuck. Okay. I see what you mean. And like, it's one of the ways you can save him.
Yeah.
But I also think it's funny because the
too.
Developers talked about how few people chose the true like renegade path. And they were like joking about how it was like a waste to have developed, like spent all this time recording and like making all these cinematics and like all these things for almost no one to see them. And I think that's really unfortunate because
Yeah.
my instinct as a person is generally to do the Paragon path. That's usually where I go, but it's fun. Like that's why we play games. We're escaping reality to some extent. Do a Renegade playthrough, validate those choices so that BioWare keeps making that an option in the games because it's really fun.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Is it's like it looks increasingly like BioWare isn't going to be making much of anything.
Well, Mass Effect 5 is in production, though.
Yeah, but they just laid off half their staff.
Oh, well. Gaming in general is a rough industry to be in right now. But I just hope that...
Well, and then when you're tied with EA, too, it's like, oh, God.
Okay.
Here we go.
I was going to say, hang on. I want to talk about all the meaningful parts about the game, and then at the end, I have a rant. Because I told Benny how this went for me. I want to talk about how EA fucked this game so hard. And I will get to that, but I'm going to save that. Let's talk about the game first.
Okay. So we've talked about the dialogue options and the morality options and how it changes the gameplay. So let's talk about the actual like interactive like shooting element of this.
Moment to moment kind of thing. Yeah.
Third person shooter. It's really formulaic and kind of basic. And you can tell that BioWare had not really like other than Knights of the Old Republic, they really had not done much in the way of shooting games.
Yeah.
You can see their base in terms of like their background in terms of CRPGs is very heavy here as it's a very RPG heavy mechanics where you have, as you level up, you gain points that you add to abilities to increase them and unlock the ability to use certain equipment or other like interactive combat abilities.
And you have upgradable equipment that you can...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have mods that you can add to your equipment, to your guns and your armor, and some of the tool-based things that allow you to do things like hacking machines or like picking digital locks on like lock boxes and getting better loot from those. Those you've seen those before. They're really pretty basically implemented. Yeah. And same with the shooting mechanic here. In fact, I think this might be one of the sparest shooting mechanics I've ever played through in a game. We don't even have ammo. We're going to hand wave away the issue of ammo, and we're just going to.
I loved it.
It's kind of funny.
So bad at shooters. I was like, this is perfect.
Your weapons only limitations are their overload, like their heat overload. So like you have to manage the amount of heat your weapons have. Balance that with the amount of damage per second they do, but ultimately you have infinite ammo. You have a basic like sprint option that has a basic fatigue bar that you drain, and you can take cover. Certain things can actually be like you can vault over certain things in certain circumstances, but this is not their forte at this point in time. No. You can tell they're not the best at it. It's functional. It's a way, it's a delivery mechanism for the plot, and that's just fine. The shooting doesn't feel terrible, but it also doesn't feel good either. It's just there.
Yeah, it's really frustrating when I'm aiming down a reticle and I'm firing an assault rifle and I'm not seeing like the impact of rounds on any environment behind it or even on the character itself I'm firing at. That's what frustrated the hell out of me. It's like, unless I'm deliberately looking up at the top of the screen, looking at their health bar, it's hard to know if you're actually hitting them or not.
It's pretty much basic bullet physics, like the most primitive. So like there are multiple types of bullet physics, which are, do we have an actual object that exists and are we evaluating its flight path? Is it a straight flight path? Is it ballistic? How realistic are we getting with this? This is, I think, the most primitive where like you click the button and it draws a line to what's behind the gun and maybe does a little bit of fuzzy math to see if there's like, if your accuracy, if your weapon causes you to hit exactly center or off center. And then did you hit the enemy? Okay, now we're going to roll a die to see how much damage you did. That's how basic we are. In this way, we're toddlers with pool noodles hitting each other.
It is absolutely a 3D CRPG. And especially like, because you can, hit the left trigger and treat it as an FPS. And like in doing so, you are putting it's like those old school
like pre-NES games where you'd put the little sheet over the thing and it would make it look like a different game, but it's still just Pong. Mm-hmm. You're putting that little like clear sheet over the game to make it look like an FPS, but it's not. It's in no way an FPS. I kept thinking as I was playing it, and I have to thank Kirk for this because otherwise I would never have played it. I kept thinking, I was like, Fear was like 10 years before this. And this is so much worse of a shooter.
Yep.
And the fucking enemy AI is
all of the AI in this game is really bad.
I want to be clear. I liked it because I'm bad at shooters. But it was, you're in the middle of this like very serious, very important, like the plot is dark and heavy. And then all of a sudden a group of enemies come running at you with arms outstretched and they start running in circles in front of you and you just snipe them. Okay, here's how bad it is. And both these guys are going to have a reaction to this, and it's probably going to be visceral. This might be my last words on Earth. After the first level, after Eden Prime, I played the whole game with the sniper rifle.
Fair.
I never switched from the sniper rifle because I was like, it does the most damage.
Well, and you'll also get
and once you get the cadence of the heat overload,
and you'll get enough of the best, like the highest quality mods for basically like to favor one weapon, and basically you want to favor one weapon per character as well. So like make sure they stick with the same one for the whole playthrough just to maximize damage. I rarely change either.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like once a lot of the mods are so a number of the mods for the various weapons are whether they're going to deal damage to organics or whether they're going to deal damage to robots. And it's like, well, if I'm just running through the main plot, I'm almost always fighting Geth.
Yeah.
So I'll just set it all up to attack robots. And then and I played this on normal difficulty, and I'm not good at FPS games, and I just mowed through this game. There was basically zero difficulty. If you put it on like impossible or like the higher difficulties, it is a serious challenge as you can expect. But sure. It is basic stripped down shooter shit. Like it is really They clearly took plenty of flack for it, and the subsequent games, the shooting is really good. I really like the second game shooting mechanics. Yeah, it's. I've only played a couple hours of it, but I was like, whoa, this is a completely different game. As an aside, this doesn't have to make it in, but like that opening sequence in Mass Effect 2 is so good. Yeah. I love that as like a plot element. How they introduce that, it's so good. Sorry. Anyway, let's not go too far into that. I just thought that was really play through Mass Effect 1, and then start playing Mass Effect 2.
Yeah. Well, I liked your point about the sniper rifle because it's one of the few weapons that truly has an observable and practical recoil. Yes. If you use the assault rifle or pistol, there's really no recoil. There's no feedback.
Never moves.
Yeah, but the sniper rifle absolutely moves pretty aggressively depending on your training.
And actually, it's interesting too, and I thought it was cool because this is one of the few things that I was like, I haven't seen that before. That was cool. Is depending on the angle that you're at and depending on the angle that you're shooting, the recoil will either push the reticle for the sniper rifle up or down. Because if you're like shooting up, it will go poof. That's very cool. And it's like, I hadn't noticed that before. That's clever. I've never seen that before. Mm-hmm. Most times you have weapon recoil, it always pushes the reticle up. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's not actually how it works if you fire a gun.
Yeah. Otherwise, I thought the gameplay, to me, it felt like a prototype of Gears of War.
It really, really does.
Yeah. Yeah. And then even using the tech abilities of your counterparts and your whoever you have on your team can be very
Mass
clunky.
Effect 2 explained a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they take advantage of that where they have like your abilities work with each other. So like they, the one may create like, a stasis field, and then the other ability creates a detonation of that field. And so you really have to, like with Mass Effect 1, like this game, you you don't have to give a shit about your squad mates, what they're doing. They're sandbags.
Yep.
They don't matter very much. You could play without taking them into account at all. They help if you use them, but you don't need them.
No.
In Mass Effect 2, you do.
Yeah,
Or you should.
In the first game, I use them as sandbags or just as fodder because after the battle's over with, they stand back up anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was honestly in a choices matter game. That was probably my least favorite element. Was it's a combat game. It's really a spec ops kind of game. And it's a game where death is permanent, except in combat. Which it's like, wait, hang on. That's what we're doing here, though. Like, if there isn't a cutscene for it, they don't die. And it's like, no, that should. Because I had a moment where, is it Garrus or Gareth? Garrus. Okay. This is years of playing Japanese games. I'm like,
Eris or Aerith?
Yeah. But it's like Garrus died, and I was like, fuck! Like, I really liked him. And I walked over to his corpse, and I was like, shit, dude. What am I going to do now? And then he stood the fuck up, and I was like, ah! I actually jumped in my chair.
Zombie!
I was like, fuck, put him back down. But yeah, no, and that feels like a missed opportunity.
I think so. That's not going to change throughout the trilogy. Like it's realistically like player death. Otherwise, you're just like incapacitated, like knocked out, like wounded.
That's a lot of games.
And then you can
like Pokemon with extra steps.
It's a choice.
Pokemon with extra steps. So good. Yeah.
It's a choice. You can do that. I guess it's fine. But you can kind of tell, like you, the listener, you fan, can kind of tell if you haven't played this before that it's pretty bare bones. It functions.
Yep.
You point and then you shoot and then sometimes things die.
Yep.
And then you can move on to the next thing that you shoot and then it dies.
Although it's sometimes very hard to tell if it's dying or not. You just look at the health bar above
Especially
the reticle.
That's true.
Krogans, dude, because then they go down and then you have to shoot them again more.
Well, they have that. They have that immunity ability. You can get that same ability.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So that's not unintentional. That is intentional. The Krogan are very cool.
The later games fix that feedback of like when you shoot somebody, you can see them getting hit, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not this invisible. It's getting hit, and you see the health bar lowering, kind of. Well, I said prototype Gears of War, almost like prototype Borderlands kind of situation.
Yeah. I guess this is an opportunity to talk about the one other element of gameplay that really feels super tacked on to me. I like it in a weird way. I have a fondness for it. Navigating certain planets. Like there are certain sequences where you navigate like a planetscape or a moon or a planet or like part of one. Some of them are very linear. Some of them have open areas. You're in a ATV called the Mako. It's got like a rocket launcher and a machine gun, and it's ultra overpowered, and it's got like a jetpack and a boost pack, and it's fun to drive, but it's all super underdeveloped. And
wildly unnecessary. Like it didn't need to exist in the game.
It doesn't need to be
Halo
there.
had a shitty vehicle. Let's add a shitty vevehicle to our game.
Yeah, it's really what it feels like. I mean, it's cool, but like
it's a big warthog.
The terrestrial.
The Warhawk had a point though. It actually got you from A to B. Where the
saying,
Mako,
it wasn't tacked
the
on
whole
in Halo.
thing just didn't need to exist.
The terrestrial areas that you can navigate, except for the couple plot-driven areas where you have to go and you're on like a linear kind of rail, which are very pretty and cinematic. They kind of create that cinematic nature. So like, Vermeer has one of those sequences where you drive through like this beautiful lush forest and like water biome and
try to avoid killing the poor crabs.
Exactly. Yeah. And then like the Prothean like research facility that you drive through, like that trench.
Yeah.
Other than those, they're very sparse. Like there's no like there's no trees. There's like, you're basically just on uneven terrain with some things that they like. It's like what you'd make if you are playing with a video game like Construction Kit for the first time. You're like, ooh, I can drag mountains up out of the earth, and then I can stick a beehive here, and then there's like nothing for miles around it. But you're like, I created an environment, guys. That's what these feel like.
Yeah.
It's very basic. Kirk's right. It doesn't need to exist.
Yeah.
You can tell they were trying to compete or like maybe like experiment with where they were going, and it was just functional enough that they left it in. And it doesn't make its way back into the games for 2 more entries.
Oh, nice.
And that's fine.
I'm good with that. I'm good with no more makeup. When I was playing the like big story missions, and so many of them are, like you say, it's like it's almost on rails because there's these like winding paths that lock you into a certain direction. Again, I couldn't help but go, this is exactly like Baldur's Gate, because there's so much of Baldur's Gate where it's like, oh, it's open. You can go wherever you want. I'm doing air quotes. And it's like, yeah, but where you want is forward or back.
Yeah.
Like, and it really did. I was like, oh, this is the same group of people. Like this has the same level design. It's just transposed to the third dimension. But yeah, no,
they're very pretty levels, but they're
gorgeous.
Ultimately, they don't matter nearly as much as the environments that you navigate on foot.
Yes.
Primarily, like the indoor environments is how we'd really think about those. Yeah. I figured we'd talk about music. There's not really a lot
let's
left
do
here.
that, and then that's probably most of it, right?
Sound and music.
The sound of music.
Sound and music.
Julie Andrews. What are these things?
What?
Can I play with them?
I think they're just to like move it with. I think they're just for.
I fucked it up.
I think they're just for like flapping the wings. Tell me what part of that's not accurate.
Caw.
How much of that 12-pack did you go through?
There's 2 left.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains a lot.
Okay.
And I saw you put liquor in a drink upstairs too.
That was from my wife.
Oh, okay.
This is all I've had today. Just these 10.
Just these 10.
just this 10.
They're only like 4%.
How many ounces is that? 12? I've only had 120 ounces of cork today.
Yep, that's accurate. Yes. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay. Deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. It's fine. We're all good here. Okay. Betty!
That's me.
That is you. Tell us about the sound and music, or sound of music of
I have notes here, and I wrote under music, pretty good.
Yeah. That feels right.
It's perfectly serviceable. It suits the setting. It's good music. It's nothing. There's like no earworms to my memory. Mm-hmm. Like kind of like the main menu kind of has like a
Carpenter-esque kind of.
Yeah, kind of like a low like.
Yeah, that's cool.
Other than that, like, music is fine. It's got some nice little cinematic, like, upturns or downturns. Like, even when you make, like, Renegade versus Paragon choices, there are little lilts and drops in the sound, and those are kind of nice little touches to, like, again, to make it cinematic. And this game is, if nothing, cinematic.
Very cinematic, yeah.
But ultimately, I kind of went to Wikipedia to kind of check my own opinions against like what other like reception was and what other opinions were.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean it's got a lot of kind of the electronica instrumentation that has a lot in common with like some 70s and 80s movies.
Yep.
And like Blade Runner is another comparison, and I think that that makes sense. It feels very much like it feels like the genre that it's in, musically speaking.
Yeah, and I think that like a Vangelis or a Carpenter are good analogs for what you're going to get, but just toned way down. Like it's low in the mix and it feels appropriate, but it never rises to the level of like, oh yeah. The best part of the score for me was the like that opening like
do 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 do
yes, that like
do
pulse. Like it's very.
And when you're like navigating the galaxy,
Yeah.
that little kind of like.
And I think more than anything else, it's just because those are sort of quiet moments within the game, and you get to notice the music a little bit more.
One thing about the Legendary Edition that I noticed, I think right out of the box, you need to go in and mess with the sound settings and turn the sound effects way down compared to the music, because man, like you use how are your eardrums after using the sniper rifle for an entire playthrough?
Jesus
Good
Christ.
God, that gun is loud.
It's so loud.
What's so annoying, and this goes in with the sound. Well, first I'll say, like, the music. I'm glad you brought up the Carpenter and whatever. I was going to say it's very Logan's Run-esque. The very
for sure.
simplistic, a couple of tones to draw an atmosphere. I didn't like it. It worked for what it did, but all in all,
it's not music. It's just ominous tones.
yeah,
A little bit.
yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
The victim's penis was found behind the AC unit.
Just go with the usual stuff, maybe. Something dark and ominous, like losing your penis is a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at it,
No,
but I also don't like it at the same time.
Yeah.
It all
But then
exists
also
for
the
atmosphere.
Yeah. But I think they could have done a little more with
Yes,
it. But considering how big and complex the game already is, I get it. But then sound effects, too, just not very good. Every assault rifle sounds the same.
Yep.
Every shotgun sounds the same. Every pistol sounds the same.
It's clear that the sound, the effort in the sound was put into the voice acting, not the music and sound design.
Which is excellent voice acting for the time period.
Yep.
I mean, for any time period, but it holds up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, the music and sound effects as a whole, to me, gets like a D-. Just not impressive. They did enough to get by.
I'd give it a C.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would say
That implies
C.
average.
It's fine.
That implies average, though.
I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of think it's kind of average.
I like
Maybe a C minus at the
Balls
worst.
3D exists.
Personally.
Fair.
The one where everything you do just results in a coming noise. The whole fucking game. So that's F.
Are you talking about Link in Ocarina of Time?
I love like combat rolling across Hyrule
Yes.
Field. It's like, all the way. So good. Oh yeah, but yeah, the sound is not the best part of this game.
It's kind of amazing about this game where we kind of look at it and only a couple elements of it are truly exceptional.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, frankly, mediocrity in it for it being ultimately an excellent game. Like it's a good game. It's fun. It's vibrant. You want to stick around in it. And like, if you have trouble with this one, slog through it so you can get to the second game.
They knew how to set up and stage the best elements of the game to make you not care about the weaker points of it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like when you say it that way, it's like, there's a lot of this game that it's like, it's fine. But I came away with it, like I said, going, God damn, that was great.
You know, something that I've found myself doing in recent years is not feeling like I have time for all of the dialogue and the backstory and like the codex entries and like really just wanting to get to like the action. I didn't used to be that way. I really used to be. And I think it's because I don't have the time. I don't feel like I always have the time for that anymore. And I feel impatient in a way that I didn't used to when I was younger. Maybe it's my impending doom. But when I started up this game again and started getting into it, I kind of felt that alleviated. I wanted to go back and like hear the backstories and go through and I think there's an economy of words. I think that they don't like, there's a lot of information and you can delve into things deeply, but not for unnecessary lengths of time. In fact, that's something that I kind of struggled with Destiny with. It was like their lore entries are very cool, but like, man, it's just a lot of reading and I have shit to do. It's not that it's not good. I have shit to do. And I think Mass Effect did a really good job of it being like well written and well acted and everything is presented in a consumable fashion.
Yes.
I like the Codex more than the Grimoire of Destiny. Yeah, that's true. It's just better accessibility.
Well, and so actually I'm playing through Nier Automata, and one of the things that I'm really enjoying about it is the same thing that I like about Mass Effect, which is like it feels like there's so much lore and story and world there, but it never feels like, okay, I know you've been enjoying playing a video game, but sit down, Grasshopper. We have to unload 30 minutes of bullshit on you. It's just like, no, the world is there, and that's, I think I said
recess is over, back to class.
Yeah, the world is there for you to explore, and you can go grab it if you want it, but it never feels heavy-handed. It always feels like, and that's why I compared it to The Expanse, right? Like, you learn about that world gradually in little bits and pieces, almost as an aside from the story that's happening.
Yeah.
And Mass Effect, to me, it felt like they wanted you to play a video game and they wanted to tell a great story, and they managed to strike that perfect balance that even though the video game of it is kind of average, the story is so great and they tell it so well that I never felt unengaged. I never had that thing where I bounce off and I'm like, okay, I'll come back to it at some point. No, I ate through this game in 3 days.
That's pretty good. It's not a small game.
No.
It can be a short game, but if you do even 20% of the side quests, this is going to be like a 60+ hour game probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe not that much. I bet 30 to 40 hours if you did half of everything.
Yeah.
Efficiently and quickly without spending a bunch of time driving around all the planets looking for all the resources.
Yeah.
If you do that, like this can be a 100-hour plus game if you do it, and not for like repetition's sake or just being inefficient. Like it could take you that long to do everything if you're a completionist, but it's not bad. It's a good time. I wanted to talk about some conservative backlash and criticism because it's very funny.
Oh.
And I just written down this one thing, which was with regard to like the sexuality in the game.
Yeah.
Fox News stated that the game, quote, leaves nothing to the imagination and features the ability for players to, quote, engage in full graphic sex. And that gave me the distinct impression and deep concern that I've been playing Mass Effect wrong the whole time.
Where is the porn? I want to see it.
I thought I had to go to those other websites to get that.
I will say, if you want Mass Effect porn, it exists.
Yeah.
Rule 34, man, it's out there. It's
yeah.
Anyway,
Jesus.
I am glad that's the indelible the indelible stamp left behind by this game.
This game pissed people off. Go play it. Like I say, whatever books they're burning, go read them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kirklestein.
It really was a product of its time. Technology, as far as what they were putting in the hardware of the consoles, was really taking huge leaps and strides.
Oh my God, yeah.
Microsoft was really setting a new standard, like you were referring to earlier, where the 360 was really the leap between what we consider to be retro gaming versus modern gaming. Yeah. And they were showcasing it here with Mass Effect with it. But just how much they were able to show, just how much they were able to shove onto one DVD's worth of data, basically. And yeah, it has its faults. Like, I criticize the sound and the music, but I still love the game. I still played it up and down. I did the Paragon and Renegade paths. I mean, I played all the other games. I was one of the people who in the third game bitched about the ending. Right. I jumped on a forum and was just like, this is fucking bullshit. So I clearly give a shit about this series and this game. Yeah. Could they have done things differently? Yes, but again, there was so much already in it. I can't fault it for that. And yeah, what part of the game was I missing when it came to the graphic sex? Like damn, shit. Do I have to play it again to get that part? Fox News. Yeah, I mean, I would love that. That'd be great. That'd be a reason for me to play it again.
We already knew it was a horny ass game, but I guess we were missing some stuff there because I thought it was just enshrined in the pantheon of good sci-fi in general, but not for the smut. Okay, damn it.
Yeah. So, do people at Fox News have sex, or do they just do more of those people just congeal out of a pool somewhere?
No, one person leaves a snail trail and the other one slithers across it.
Okay.
All right.
So two things. I'll do my rant, but first I want to just say, so it's like right away in the game, like you're in Citadel for the first time. And like, I was aware just from being a person who likes video games and just the background radiation of internet culture, I was aware that this was kind of a horny game. But in like the first mission, when you go to the Citadel, you can go to this like strip club, basically.
Mm-hmm. Chora's Den.
Yeah. And I was like, and as you walk by a table, it says relax. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I sit down and immediately somebody starts doing a fucking striptease in front of me. And I'm like, oh, we're that kind of game. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's some good mocap too, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
That is fair. For the time, it was pretty good.
I didn't hate it.
They keep that in the next games too, so it only gets better, to be honest.
Okay. Anyway, I want to talk about EA for just a second.
Engage rant.
So Benny was kind enough to pick this game up for both of us on Steam. It was on sale, and I appreciate that because I will be playing 2 and 3 if EA fucking lets me. And I want to explain what fucking happened when I installed this game because it makes me so goddamn angry. And honestly, I think what I'll be doing with my replay is pirating this fucking game that I already own. And here's why. So like most people who have fucking video games, I have a couple EA games. And that means dealing with Origin and its stupid fucking bullshit. Middleware trash that fucks up your computer. Whatever. I've grown to accept it. Not like it, but accept it. Well, when Benny sent me this game, I installed it on Steam. Steam's EA app uninstalled Origin, installed the EA app, and then said, oh, hey, okay, go ahead and log into EA. Well, if I have an EA account, no big deal. So I logged in, and it said, we can't communicate with the servers. Check your internet connection. I was like, okay, fine. So, closed the EA app, opened it back up, tried to log in again, same result. So I go online and I'm like, hey, what happens? Like, what do I do about this? And people are like, well, log in on the EA website while the EA app is open and it'll communicate somehow. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll try that. So I tried that. Didn't fucking work. So then the next bit was, okay, try restarting the computer, logging in, and making sure that your firewall has the EA app, like, is allowed. Well, yeah, it was. I didn't fuck with that. Of course, it was fine. So then it spent 20 minutes saying, no, there's no communication with our servers, and so you can't launch the fucking game. So I go online, I look around a little bit, and apparently this is a very common problem with the new EA app, is that certain IP address it just won't connect with, and there's nothing you can do about it, and it's a known problem, and they won't solve it.
What?
So what I wound up doing, and Benny was, I think, slightly upset with me, but what I wound up doing was I wound up finding there's a GitHub page called Fuck You EA that has an archived version of Origin that you download. You uninstall the EA app. You download this DLL file from this GitHub page, put it in the Origin, the archived Origin versions folder, and then hit no when Steam asks whether or not you should allow it to change the computer, and then and then open Mass Effect directly from its folder. This is the only way I was able to launch the app that was purchased for me. Fuck you, Electronic Arts, you garbage shit company. This, by the way,
Like, just lock out like certain components of it from the launcher. If you can't communicate, lock out the social elements or something if you can't communicate, but don't prevent people from playing the game they own.
Yeah.
and it's
a purely non-multiplayer game too in this instance. That's the funnier thing. They want you to be online to effectively play an offline game.
Steam will let you play their games offline.
Yes. But this
trivial.
middleware bullshit
Yeah.
is fucking up my ability to even play the game. And in April, EA is totally shutting down Origin. And so my fear is that starting in April, I won't be able to play this game at all. That will be the end.
Who the fuck knows? I'm tired of all these companies trying to make their own launchers. Like, you're not Valve. You'll never be Valve. Knock it off. And if you're really going to try, do it like how Epic Games is trying. And keep working on it and make it right. Don't do this half-assed effort.
Selling the game on Steam if you're just going to install your own fucking launcher.
Exactly.
It means nothing. Like, why? It does nothing. No one wants that.
And so
no one's going to leverage that.
I would highly encourage you guys to play this game, and if you do, fucking pirate it. And I'm going to be doing the same goddamn thing. I have a legally purchased copy of the game. I'm going to delete it off my fucking hard drive, and I'm going to pirate this fucking game. You know why? Because I, with a legal license to play this game, am unable to do so because of fucking corporate bullshit, and it pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah. Rockstar, 2K, all the EA, just knock it off. Stop trying to make your own fucking launchers. Stop. Just stop.
And that's all.
Like, if your game can communicate with the internet, that should be fucking good enough. Yeah. And also, you should let us play offline. Like, it's absolutely bureaucratic bullshit, and it's an absolute money grab, because there's no other reason that things can't perform this way and function this way, because the rest of the fucking world does.
Well, and there's no evidence to support the idea that that any media sells less because of piracy. There's none. So why are you doing it?
If you make it easier for people to buy and play your games, which we've talked about before,
yep,
people will buy and play them.
Yes. The only people pirate games for two reasons. Actually three. One, they're an asshole. And assholes are going to be assholes, and you can't fix that. Two, they can't afford your game, so they weren't going to buy it anyway. Three, you have made it impossible for them to play the game that they would otherwise legally purchase, either because of weird rights issues or because you're not selling it in their country or whatever nonsense EA is doing with this middleware bullshit. I'm so sick of it. It's nonsense. I just want to play the fucking game.
Any argument to the contrary fundamentally misunderstands why gamers play games.
Yeah.
Because we love to support the people that make the games we love. Like I love the idea that my money goes to development teams that are making the assets and the media, the music, the art for these games. That's why some of us buy fan art and like little tchotchkes and like t-shirts, and we buy other merch that's related to this. We love these IPs. So the idea that we're doing it to shortchange anybody is fallacious at best, and like I said, a fundamental misunderstanding of who gamers are at worst.
I get a lot of games from itch.io, and a lot of the games that I get are pay what you want. And what I'll generally do is I will get the game, I will pay nothing, I will play it. If I like it, I will buy a copy on Steam, either for myself or someone else. If you make a good product, people will pay for it. And this corporate bullshit is so frustrating. And so the end to my rant is, I really liked Mass Effect. Like I say, it's probably one of my favorite games that we've talked about on the podcast. I would really love to play 2 and 3. I hope I get to do that without having to break the fucking law, but I have very low hopes.
Like, why do you need a launcher? It was already bought on Steam, which is a launcher. Why do I need another launcher for the launcher? If I wanted to use the Origin or EA app launcher, I would have bought it through your store on your launcher. I did not. Fuck you.
Get over your launchception bullshit.
It's Steam. It's not GOG. You can put your DRM bullshit in anyway. Why?
Yep.
So frustrating. Such bullshit.
Well, EA just
EA
needs to burn down.
They're money grubbing fucks. Like, they're some of the
so
worst.
mad about it.
Like the king of the fucking microtransactions right there.
Yeah, well, so long as idiots keep buying soccer games, they're going to exist.
EA, what is it? EAFC now, because they didn't even pay for the FIFA license. Which, to be fair,
FIFA is also a fucked up.
Yeah, since we're talking about fucked up corporations, like, I don't know that I'm arguing for EA to give money to FIFA, but
both organizations just need to fail entirely.
Jesus. Anyway, so that's my rant.
Jesus.
That's my rant. I really liked this game. It was really, really fun. Once I started thinking of it as a CRPG instead of a shooter, I had a blast with it, and I'm really excited to, if EA will let me, please, EA, let me play the game.
Do you have a 360?
I don't anymore. I lost it in the flood.
If you are, that's right. If you are really motivated and piracy doesn't feel like the direction you want to go, you can borrow my 360 and my copies of the originals.
Oh, I might do that, because I.
Up to you though. Like you're an adept pirate, sir. You have sailed the high seas.
No, don't make him play it on 360, because then you'll have to deal with the fucking elevator loads. You know what I'm talking about? The elevator.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that. That's really funny. Yeah, go out and Google why elevator loading in Mass Effect is so funny.
Okay.
Yeah, don't put that kind of hate on him. Just play it on
in
computer.
short, Brent, did you notice that at all? That the elevator scenes are kind of weird?
Yeah.
That's because they're load screens.
Oh, that makes sense.
And on the console, they are much longer.
Long time to load.
Because it's seeking the data off the disk.
Yep, that's why some of the elevator rides get clipped, and the conversations are weirdly broken.
Okay, so I was wondering about that, because there were a couple times when I would be in an elevator with my party, and then they would have a conversation. They would start talking, and then they would have the same conversation again. Yeah. It would they would, we'd just still be standing there, and then they would start having the same dialogues again. And I was like,
even when the 360 got the ability to load the disc onto the hard drive, and you just need the disc to just basically activate it. It still took forever, because it was still a mechanical hard drive, like a platter drive spinning inside there, and that still took a long time. On a modern PC like what we all have, it's there's no need for that load anymore.
Yeah. Well, I play a lot of games off an SD card, so I know all about load screens.
Yeah, even an SD card's could be a lot faster than an old school platter drive, like on a 360.
That's fair.
Especially if you get that, what is it, the NAND flash.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
sweet.
Also,
sweet.
another hardware thing. Not all flash storage is created equal. So
Nope.
do your research.
Yeah. Just do your own research and get back to us. Okay.
Man, we've really wandered far afield here.
Okay. All right.
Game is cool. Play Mass Effect.
Yep. Play Mass Effect. I heartily endorse it.
Sorry, I put my balls in his mouth.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
From across the table, it was gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got really saggy balls.
Yeah.
It's like Stretch Armstrong balls over there.
That's what happens when you do all this time trials running with a boner.
Okay.
All right, let's get the fuck out while we still can.
So, hey, thank you guys for listening so much. This might be 2 episodes. I don't know.
Future Brent here. It was.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. If you like what we're doing, check us out on YouTube and Spotify, and obviously come join our Discord and talk to us about what you think about Mass Effect and who's your bae. Talia. Talia is mine. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us. If you like what we're doing, go check us out on Spotify, Amazon, Discord, all that good stuff, and we will talk at you soon. All right? Bye! Yeah, and exactly. What do I
Have you guys been raptured?
No, I didn't. Just look up at the sky and oh shit. Nope. Help. I can't get out of this podcast. I'm trapped.
Oh God.
No.
This is not a good
Just
episode.
Okay. No. Hey.